Hello, everyone. It's Diane, the massage mentor, and I am live with Whitney Lowe.
All right.
Welcome, welcome.
Thanks
And
so much.
we started chatting a little bit before we started, and I just wanted to dive right in with you. I've heard a lot of great things from you in the community. You're also I think, friends with Till, who I love Till,
Yeah.
and but. Should we start with, let's just start with what originally got you into massage therapy? Because it's been a while.
It has been a while. Yes, 31 years that I've been doing this. And I didn't actually intend to be a massage therapist when I got into this. Massage for me was going to be a way to make some money conveniently and easily while I was in graduate school. I was in graduate school studying psychology at the time.
Oh,
And
wow.
my former wife was going to massage school and telling me all about the great things they were learning in massage school about the mind-body connection and the client-therapist relationship and all this really cool stuff. And so I thought I was going to go to massage school just to do that as a way to sort of pay my way through graduate school and learn a little bit about the body. But I went to massage school, and like so many other people, I got hooked. And so that short little break is now turned into 31 years. So yeah, I'm sort of got off track from what I was originally doing, but so very happy that I did.
And I'm going to get a little sidetracked. What's your favorite part of massage? I mean, a big part of some of the things I was reading about you is that you're excited about massage. And right then, for me too, it's the mind-body connection. It's really seeing the whole person, the whole being. So
Yeah.
can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, for me, this has been a long evolutionary process too of finding, where I belonged in this field and what it was going to be about for me. And along the way, I mean, I've done all kinds of things, worked in all kinds of environments, but relatively quickly after I got started in massage, I really began to resonate with the idea of working with pain and injury conditions. And that's what was really the core crux of what I was doing. And then also shortly after that, I started teaching in massage school and realized and recognized that was my calling, was education. And so that's become my main focus for the last several decades, is really trying to share as much as I possibly can with as many practitioners about the things that I've learned about treating pain and injury problems.
And you started doing that in a big way because you have the Academy of Clinical Massage.
Mm-hmm.
Will you tell us a little bit about that?
Well, that's a business that started back in 1994 when I moved to Oregon from Atlanta. So at that time, back in the mid-90s, the massage profession was really starting to blossom quite a bit, but we really did not have textbooks. We didn't have educational materials in the schools. There wasn't a lot of stuff around to help massage therapists learn. And so I really was kind of committed to the idea of trying to produce some educational materials that would be really beneficial for massage therapists. And that's what really got started with the academy and the books that I wrote and the workshops and training programs and that sort of thing.
And where is it for you now?
Well, it has evolved quite a bit because through the course of, I was self-publishing textbooks. So I was learning a lot about the digital publishing industry as the computer industry was sort of growing into its own in the 90s, and got very involved with online education back in the late 90s and early 2000s because I had been at that time also traveling a lot, doing a lot of workshops all around the country. And the traveling is grueling. It's really hard. But the thing that was concerning me a lot was the idea of recognizing that I couldn't get to so many people who wanted to learn what I was trying to share. And also I realized that a lot of what I was teaching, it wasn't about specific techniques and things to do with your hands as much as it was trying to teach people about clinical reasoning and kinesiology and biomechanics and how to recognize various pain and injury conditions. And a lot of that was stuff that just does not translate well into a 2-day weekend workshop. And so that's what drove me to learn a whole lot more about online education, because I really saw tremendous possibilities for doing that even better than the classroom experience through online education.
And I watched a segment of one of your talks about pain. And it was really cool because one of the things you were talking about is how pain doesn't actually start until it's in the brain.
Yeah.
Is that correct? That's
well,
like
yeah.
the new way of thinking. It doesn't necessarily start on the outside. It starts once it finally reaches here.
Yeah, that is our current understanding. So I'm not going to say that is correct. I'm going to say that's our current understanding. So, and that may well change, but it is a pretty revolutionary idea for the way most of us were taught, which is that we have pain receptors, on the periphery of our body, and they send pain signals to our brain. But the idea is really that they send neurological signals to the brain, but it doesn't really become pain until it's interpreted that way by the brain. And what that essentially means is the brain has the capability to sort of turn up the volume on those signals and make pain a whole lot worse than it should be, which we see in many of our clients who have very chronic pain conditions and nothing that's apparently damaged with them. We also have the capability to engage the brain in processes that turn down the volume through a process called descending modulation, which essentially is what we do with massage. It's really a way to down that excessive signaling. So, I mean, this is one of the most significant aspects of what we do with massage. And I think we're really just now beginning to uncover this as what we're about.
Yes.
Yeah.
I remember years ago hearing too that touch will eventually override thought, that it will actually calm down someone's brain. How do you feel about that one?
It has possibilities to do all kinds of things. And I think we're really just now beginning to explore how do we really engage touch in that process that does the things that we want it to do. But I mean, this goes back to really, really fundamental aspects of brain biology and neurobiology that's ingrained from the time that we're an infant. I mean, what is the thing that everybody naturally does when a baby is crying? Picks them up, holds them, strokes them, and does this kind of stuff. And that starts programming these messages in your brain that soothing touch is a good thing. Yes. And if that's all we do in the treatment room with people is create a nurturing, caring, safe environment and give them soothing, comforting touch, that's powerful medicine.
Yes. Thank you for saying that. I love that.
Yeah.
That's so true. I feel that deep in my heart. And one of the things too, we'll just jump around a little, is you wrote a book. Do you want to tell us a little bit about your book? If it's as fabulous as you are, I'm guessing that I should probably have a copy.
Right. Not yet, I'm going to tell you, because I'm working on a new edition. But I've actually written a couple books, but the main one that you're probably referring to is the Orthopedic Assessment in Massage Therapy. That's the one that's been out since the mid-90s, and the one that I put the most attention on right now, because my feeling was in learning about pain and injury conditions, one of the things that I thought massage therapists don't get really adequate training on is how to recognize what type of pain problems our clients are often dealing with. Because I really do think it makes a big difference for us to have a good understanding of what's happening in order to figure out what we should do about it with them. So that book has been a big part of my educational programs for a number of years, and it's now in the process of a major revision, which I'm really excited about, because this is going to be a very new kind of product. It's going to be a hybrid product, is the best way to describe it, which is part print book, part online course. So there's a lot of textbooks nowadays that have websites and other ancillary materials that go along with them, but they're supplementary to the book. This is going to be different in that there's a lot of stuff that's part of this educational product that's not in the book, because like videos of techniques being done, interactive exercises, creative problem solving, the reasoning things that you can't do in the print medium are all going to be in the online components that go along with this thing. So it's going to be, there's actually going to be two different online components for it. One will be aimed at entry-level schools for students that are learning this in their entry-level programs, and one will be aimed at practitioners who are already out in practice and need a little bit more advanced type of coursework there.
Congratulations!
So I'm very excited about it, but it's been a long process, and it's still got a long way to go to get finished. But next year, 2020, it's coming out. So
we'll look forward to that, and we'll look for it. And well, how do you, I think you're kind of giving us a general taste, but how would you say that your courses challenge massage therapists to think a little different?
Well, so much of what we see in a lot of the coursework that massage therapists get in continuing education classes is really about learning techniques and learning how to do things with our hands. And the majority of what I focus on in the classes that we're doing is the why behind that. Not so much the what, but the why. So I'm really interested in people learning to think about, when you have a client that has shoulder pain, why do you choose one group of techniques over another? Why do you choose this particular approach over another? And being able to explain what you're doing and what the physiological results are of what you're doing. Because when you understand that component, then you really become capable of making all kinds of changes, modifications, and things like that to what you're doing to adapt to every unique client situation. Because the problem is oftentimes many of these techniques are shared or taught as a protocol or a routine or a recipe kind of thing.
Right.
Do this sort of thing, do 3 of these and 2 of those or whatever.
Right.
But our clients aren't recipes or routines. They're individuals, and every one of them comes with a unique package of world experience, life experience, and things that might cause you to have to do things differently. And so that's the thing. I want to teach people how to think. That's really what I am about.
And I like too, and you touched on that too a little bit in the one workshop that I had watched too, is that everybody's brain processes things different too.
Yeah.
So I would assume too that we all experience pain differently and all that stuff. So I love what you're doing. I think that sounds amazing, and it's very, very needed.
Yeah,
so thank you.
It is. Yeah. So, and it's again, massage therapy. I was at a pain conference a couple of years ago, and we were talking about this new model of what's called the biopsychosocial model of pain, which incorporates not only biological causes like, injuries and damage to tissue and things like that, but also psychological and social components of pain. And we were talking about the interventions that are used to treat this from a biopsychosocial perspective. And this neuroscientist that was there said to me, of all the different people that are here, I think massage therapy is probably one of the best biopsychosocial interventions for treating pain. And I agree with him. I really do think it is one of the very best types of interventions for this in many instances. Now, again, it is not the be all end all for everything. It doesn't work for everything, but for lots of things, it's a really good intervention.
Yes. Thank you for saying that too. And what are some of the common conditions you might focus on in your class? You were mentioning that, there's some common conditions that, you might look at.
Yeah, well, people have all kinds of musculoskeletal problems that are very responsive to massage. So for me, a lot of this is trying to help identify when there is a musculoskeletal complaint that has, maybe a mechanical origin, like chronic overuse problems, tendonitis, rotator cuff disorders, those kinds of things. A lot of times pain complaints have a strong neurological component when there is a nerve compression or a nerve tension problem. And, for example, neural tension is a concept that just rarely makes it onto the radar screen of most massage therapy schools. When I say that term, people are like, well, what do you mean? Well, nerves can get overstretched in addition to being compressed. And we always talk about them getting compressed all the time, but they can actually be under excess tension, and that causes neurological symptoms as well. So a lot of those kinds of things are about how to discriminate between, is something a tendon problem? Is it a bursa problem? Is it a nerve problem? And that requires the clinical reasoning process and the critical thinking process, not something necessarily that you do with your hands. And that kind of gets back to the whole rationale of why that's so important.
I love that. I love that.
Yeah.
And then I just want to make sure I say this correctly. Can you give us a glimpse into the description, learn the why, what, and how, so treatments are based on sound problem solving? I think you're kind of talking about that right now, though, right?
That's exactly what we're talking about.
Yeah.
So when you understand, a lot of it comes back to the why. When you understand why something is occurring, then you can help make a good determination of what is going to be the most effective means of addressing that, and then how do you go about doing that. So that's how you make your clinical decisions about what you're doing. We come to the treatment room with it. People often use this metaphor of the toolbox. We come with a toolbox of techniques and things that we've learned, but we might mix and match them in lots of different ways or choose to do them different ways. So how do you make those choices? And my thing has always been, the more you understand about the nature of what's going on, the better you're going to be in a position to choose the right tools to be the artist that you really are in the treatment room.
I love it. I love it. And what suggestions would you give to a massage therapist to create a more satisfying practice? I've seen you talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, for me, I think this always comes back to reconnecting with why you're doing what you're doing. A satisfying practice may not necessarily be the one that brings in the most money, It might be the one that you really feel like you connect with why you're doing the things that you're doing. For me, because at different times during my career, when I was in the treatment room a lot, it is possible. It's certainly something that a lot of people grapple with, that like sometimes it gets boring, sometimes it
Yeah.
gets isolating, sometimes it
Thank
gets
you. That's
redundant.
honest. Yeah.
It's not always fun and games, but when you can stop for a moment, think, why am I doing this?
Yeah.
Why am I? Because I walk into a room with nothing but what I have with my hands, and I touch people and I change their lives. That's pretty darn good.
It's amazing.
That's a pretty darn good work experience to have. And people, if they really connect with that whole rationale of what they're doing on that level every day when they walk into the treatment room, even if it's just that 44th general relaxation massage, a great way to analogy is this. I heard a quote from, who was it that said this? I think it was James Taylor. It was either James Taylor or Don Henley of the Eagles. Guys have been around singing the same songs for 40 years now.
Right.
And somebody is asking him, like, don't you get tired of singing those same songs every night? And he said, yeah, but you know what? Some people have waited their whole life to come to this concert and hear me sing this song. So I'm going to give it my all every time I get out there and do that, because they really want that, experience.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what we need to reconnect with when our clients come in. Like, yeah, it may be the last massage of the day on the last day of the week and you're really tired, but that person's been waiting all week to come see you.
Yeah.
And you're really capable of making some dramatic, significant changes in their lives when you can reconnect with the power of what we're doing with our hands, and the environment that we create for them.
And I think too, what I hear you saying too is just being grateful that we are getting to do what we get to do more and more, like how lucky are we to be that intimate with people. A lot of industries don't even come close to
not at all.
touch people.
And we get paid for it. Yeah. So it is a pretty remarkable thing that we get to do with people. Just the fact that you can walk into that room and change people's lives. There's a lot of people that I've worked with over the years who were in such pain, who had such dramatic changes and things happen to them over time, that I know this is absolutely worth a tremendous amount. If I was in that position, I would be so thankful that I have those capabilities of change happening for us. So we just need to stay connected with that somehow or other. Whatever it is for you as an individual, find that thing that you can connect with as your reason for being.
I couldn't agree anymore. That was well said. I love it. This is great. So I think we're getting a little taste for things, but what gets you most fired up and excited about massage?
Boy, it's hard to pinpoint a specific thing, but that, what we were just talking about is certainly one of those things for me, which is that the knowing what we can do for people and making changes in their lives. But also, I would say, for me, a large part of it is getting back to sort of my channel or lane that I'm in, which is in education. What really gets me excited too is seeing the light bulbs of knowing that being able to share the things that I share with people through our educational products, our training programs, things like that, to know how many people I can really impact in the world by training other people to address pain and injury problems really thoroughly and completely.
Yes.
I really relish the idea of how many people I could help in the treatment room, but I also began thinking at a certain point, if I was actually teaching all the stuff that I had learned over these years to other people, think how many people I could really then help. That's really a powerful kind of blowing it out to the bigger world idea.
I love it. I love it. And so what was one of your, can you think of one of your greatest moments as a teacher?
Gosh, there's so many of them, but what I would say about that is one of the things that really resonates a lot with me as a teacher, as an educator, and this happens moderately frequently, which there's good sides and not so good sides about that, but I will often be either in a workshop training program or in our online course, and we're going through some complex aspect of a clinical reading process or a problem solving thing or a practical exercise that we're doing, and students will say, like, God, we used your book and when I was in school, but I never got this until now. I never really understood why we were doing these things. And this is so helpful. This is so beneficial for what I can do with my clients. So for me, when I can see people picking up pieces of something that I know they will then take to their practice and do something immediately with their clients that's going to help them out. That's when I really feel like, we've made an impact.
Mm-hmm. And what would you say? I think for a lot of us, I mean, I've been a massage therapist for 24 years, and now I'm home to a practice with 12 massage therapists here in the Philadelphia area. We're winning awards. It's a great time, Whitney. You have to come see us.
All right, I will. It sounds great. Yeah.
But on a personal level, like me as a person, I've changed so much by being in this industry, because I feel like if you're really getting into it, there's no way you can avoid facing yourself to a degree, right? Mm-hmm. So how would you say that massage has helped change you on a personal level, or what personal effects has it had?
Again, just to start even thinking about this, the innumerable ways that it has changed me, but some that are most impactful, I think, for me are giving me an opportunity to reconnect with compassion for individuals who are in different circumstances. Whether that's the person who's in pain, or whether that's the student I'm working with who's, not got the resources that I was incredibly lucky to have, all kinds of educational resources and things that were available to me just at the nick of time in the time that I grew up in the world of massage in the 80s and 90s. Lots of people don't have those kinds of things. So I would say more than anything, it has really allowed me an opportunity to both develop compassion for other individuals and play it out on a daily basis, not just to have that be a single sort of thing that you think about every once in a while, but it has to become an ongoing part of what you do on a regular basis. And again, as an educator, another way that I would say that has really influenced me a lot is in learning a lot more about education. I see things that happen with people's experiences of education, like when a teacher, and I see this happen so often, a teacher will be talking about something, and students are in the classroom, they're listening. One student's writing down a whole bunch of stuff. Teacher says something, and then a couple minutes later, up goes the hand, and that student asks a question about something that teacher just said. And everybody else is like, oh, why weren't you listening? He just said that. She just said that. And what they don't get is that student was writing down what he or she just said previously. And when they're writing notes down, they can't auditorily and visually process what that person is speaking about. So they missed it. So it's not that person wasn't paying attention. It's that they missed that because their auditory and visual channels can't take in that much more information simultaneously. That's one of the challenges with doing stuff only in a classroom environment like that. And when you start to have compassion for that, as an educator, for example, you answer every question that somebody asks as if it's the most important question of the day. And that's one of the things that I hear about from students all the time is like, you make us feel so at ease because you give us, you respect our questions, or you respect our knowledge of where we're coming from. And you have to do that as an educator. And that's unfortunately one of those things that I think doesn't get done enough.
Sounds very like there's a lot of humility there, and it's really awesome. This is one of you're just so, the way you're speaking and everything, I can feel the love coming through the screen. I love it.
Well, again, I would say that part of this too is this gets back to your previous question about things that have been impactful and influential. This whole field, all the people that I've met, all the students that I've worked with, all the clients that I've worked with over the years, they have all helped me grow as an individual and grow as a person. Yes. And that's part of where that comes out of, is really working on yourself, consciously making an effort to work on yourself and be a lot better and be the very best you can be as a compassionate, caring individual sharing things. That's when it really connects with people, I think.
One of the big revelations I had, Whitney, for me, was when I realized the world was working with me, not against me. And every single thing that happened in my life was a gift and just a huge learning experience. Every person that I came into contact was giving me back a piece of me. So I really love everything that you're saying. And I want to know, do you have any words of wisdom that you would like to leave us with before we end our time together? Although I could probably talk to you for 2 days.
I know. Yeah. I love talking with people who are excited about this too. So, I can see and feel your excitement coming through the screen also there. So thank you so much for that, and for your group, the things that you're doing for your group there. But, in terms of a closing out thing, what I would just say is kind of tying back to something that I said earlier is connect with your why. Connect with why you're doing this, and really try to make a way to resonate with that as much as possible. Just take some time to really think about what it is that makes you get up and continue doing this thing every day, and think about what it is that you're bringing into the world, and that what you're doing for other individuals is a hugely impactful and powerful thing that we do for people. So when you can connect with that, it makes dealing with the, hot treatment room, the
Right.
oily sheets, the messy laundry, all the other things that we have to deal with, just details. It's just details. The rest of
Details.
it,
Yes.
the rest of it is just, it's the big picture of what we're trying to bring to the world.
Whitney
Yeah.
Lowe! Oh
Right.
my gosh, this was great. This was
Yeah.
great. I've heard so many great things about you as a human being and as a teacher, and I'm just so thankful that you took the time with me. And
Well, it's a
everybody,
joy.
it
Yeah.
was just so great. It was so great. We've tons of comments. I'm going to put up all Whitney's information so you guys know where to find them. And Whitney, if you would hang tight for 1 second, I'm going to say goodbye to everybody. And Whitney, thank you very, 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 very much.
All right. Great talking with you.